All right. Hey, look at you.
Hi,
Info. I haven't seen you in ages.
it's true. That's true.
Oh, so where are you? Are you in Madrid? Madrid?
In Madrid, in the center of this epidemic.
Yeah, yeah. Um, what's it looking like over there these days?
Well, very weird, I would say. Very calm, which is not common in Spain, and a lot of people in their houses trying to follow the instructions and try to come back to normal
Mm,
soon than later.
yeah, yeah. Good. Well,
Here,
yeah. I hope
drinking
we're
some
all hoping
wine,
the same thing.
drinking.
Oh, yeah. You're
I'm here drinking some wine and prepare with all the
you're
glasses. And
What time is it there? Is it
it's 6:30 now.
6:30? Okay. Well, yeah, let's let you get to drinking. Do you want me to keep my video on and ask you questions or
Well, I was planning to do like a basic tasting. I have
okay,
four wine opens,
okay.
so
I'm gonna
we
turn
can
my
do
mic
like
off, but I'll leave my mic on in case
yes,
I
perfect.
want to ask you questions. So go ahead.
Okay. Well, hello everyone, all the audience. Thanks, Amelia, for inviting me here. My part of the whole event has to do about the wine. Basically, um, have some fun time with you and enjoying some basic steps towards a better wine tasting, and of course to show you some of my wines that I have behind me, and to check some difference between four wines that I selected for today. Okay, so first I'm gonna talk about two sherry wines that I choose for today. One is Manzanilla from south of Spain. Is fortified wine, but is wine, a very good wine for entry dishes and aperitifs. I have another wine similar. That is another Manzanilla. That is Barbiana, Manzanilla and Rama. So between these two wines, we're gonna do like the first uh, two steps of the traditional tasting. Okay, so I have two glasses, the same type of glasses for these two. And well, I don't know if you can see, but the first step for every traditional tasting, I normally I don't follow too much traditional tastings, but I think it's good to know some basic concepts. No, so here we have both are white wines, of course, both are fortified, and both are sherries. They have their differences. Both are manzanillas, that are a type of sherry, and both are made of the same grape, which is Palomino Fino. But if you can see, the first step always is to look at the wine. And here, I don't know, well, the back part is white wall, but one is a stronger, has a stronger green, yellow than the other one, like kind of towards gold, and the other one's towards straw. But both of them, they have very strong yellow. This would be different if we go to, for example, champagne. Champagne is this one is made from um, Chardonnay and Pinot Noir, and this would be much lighter and paler than these two. So this is the first step when you're tasting a wine. Look at it, try to guess if you're like in a wine contest which grape is made of. If we go to the reds that I select today for you to see difference, I select a traditional Rioja made with Tempranillo grape that must have very tannic color, so it will be like a stronger color than this one. That is a Graciano from north of Spain, close to Navarra, close to Rioja. That is a region called Navarra. And in the color of the reds here, hopefully you can see this darker than this one.
Yeah.
That has to do basically with the structure of the grape. So when you look to the wine before tasting it, before smelling it, you can see many things just by the color. So this is important. The first step, because it can get you closer to the type of grape. You know, for example, reds is much easier than whites because color in whites depends mostly on the aging and the making process. But in the red ones, you have several red grapes that they have much more tannins. The structure of the grape is prone to give more color to that wine, and there are other naturally they produce pale reds. I have this one here that is close, but this variety that is called Espadeiro, a very weird variety from northwest of Spain, produces a very light reds like Pinot Noir or Zinfandel in California that you might know, or Grenache. Grenache is also a very light medium towards light body reds. So this is the first step. Now we go to the second step, which is smell. You smell the wine. The people do like, oh, there's a part of the visual part that is the viscosity, that some people do the shaking of the glass, and then you see all the tears that are called the legs of the wine. You can get how much alcohol or sugar that wine has. But I think it's easier to know that in the palate, because you can have like not such a clean glass or not such a nice glass, and that could be distorted somehow. And the second step, which is the smell, everyone thinks like, oh, that's not very important. It's much more important the tasting part. I disagree. I think the aromatic structure that you can fix in your memories, mixing together with the tastings and your experience along your life as a wine drinker, it is crucial to distinguish some types of ways of doing the wine, like elaboration methods, some regions. Now there's a trendy type of wine that is called natural wines, that they don't add sulfites to the production. So it's also very specific how they smell, how they smell, most of them like non-organic elements like bread, other components like wet soil. And this type of memories and aromatic profiles are very important to get you towards the wines that you like, which is the most important part, and the wines that well, in the first contact with them, which is the nose, you feel like more comfortable with them. So in these two whites that I have here, they're very similar because it's the same way of doing these wines from the north. Sherry wines. Sherry wines, they have a very specific way of making it that is called biological aging, with within the barrel, they create like a veil of flour that is called a veil of flour. It's a thin layer of a natural yeast that they're eating the sugar, turning into alcohol. But this thin layer, they create a biological fortified effect that creates a stronger wine. Like most of the times is um, 1 degree of alcohol higher than a non-fortified wine. But it's true that also they create wines that they are very long lasting. I think I have somewhere in the house 92 wine from sherry, another manzanilla also, that is in a perfect state. And you can drink wines up to more than 100 years old without any problems.
100 years.
So the 100 years, yes, yes, sounds a lot, but the fortified effects creates kind of like a structure for the wine to last longer.
Oh.
So it's very unique. There are very few regions in the world that they produce this type of wine. Sherry in Spain, port in Portugal. You have some other types in Jura region, in southeast France, and in Italy you have also some Marsala versions, which is the same fortified version. Well, in the smell, in these manzanillas, smells a lot like salty flavors, very mineral, like a rock type of, and this is not aromatic at all. This wine is very straight, very has a little bit of citrus, but not too much. This is the smell profile of the southern cherries. With these two, I chose two very different ones. The typical Rioja, which is this one, has a lot of oak. So the smells always lean towards vanilla, smoky flavors, um, yeah, like wood. You can smell a lot the oak. And in this other one, that is Graciano, is a variety that is very small. It's only in Spain and is medium body, close to Grenache. It's very aromatic. Smell like plum, chocolate. So you can see, and this one, of course, has no barrel aging, so you cannot see the oaky notes. That's the second part. So once you look at the wine, smell the wine, try to see if they have more like a natural making process to smell a lot of like farm flavors, because natural winemakers, they don't filter the wines most of the times. They don't add, as I said before, sulfites. They don't use chemicals that more commercial wines use. So you can smell all the particles in the wine much more intensive. The third part is the most complex, of course, and because it has more items, but is what everyone thinks when they're thinking of tasting, which is the tasting per se part. The part that we drink the liquid. If you are a professional taster, you don't drink the wine, you spit it. I used to work for the wine industry back in the days. People think that you are all day drunk. No, you have to spit all time the wine. Otherwise, you will be drunk from 8 in the morning. Like some people now that they are seen as in the other side of the world, that is too early. Well, For me, it's never too early for wine, but if you have had breakfast, you can grab a bottle and drink with us. Basically, here you have to give some air. You smell the wine. I think it's the best way of doing it, because you have the smells really inside when you move the wine. You taste it, and well, you see like people that drink a lot of wine, and they're like in the wine business, they do like a weird noises in the mouth. This is because it's much better to get some air. It's always good to drink the exact quantity that is not too much for the tongue and it's not too little, so that covers the whole tongue. The airing effect, like you get some air before swallowing wine, and you have to pay attention into several details. One is acidity. Acidity is the key of aging. When a wine has a higher acidity, has more chances to age well during years. The wine that I opened from Rioja is a 2009. Well, you're seeing the other way around. It's a Gran Reserva, so it's a very old age wine, and also is medium, I would say 2009. It was a vintage that it was a little bit cold, but still has more years to be able to drink. So if you find like an old Rioja from, I would say now, like 95 or something like that, it will be a good time to drink it. 2000 on like till 2010, I would say. It will be a little bit too early, I would say. So in the tasting, the acidity has to do with aging. How do you feel if wine has high acidity or low acidity? Basically, the amount of saliva that you produce after drinking it is proportional to the levels of acidity. If it is high acidity, you will have a lot of saliva. But this thing has nothing to do with like a lemon flavor, citrus smell, or anything. It has to do with pH. So this is a very chemical thing, but in order to progress in the tasting, the better way, in my opinion, is to test different levels of wine in a same theme. So if you're like looking for understanding acidity, you go to a very low acidity wine. I would say like I don't know, like a white wine from, well, or a red, even better. But if you go first and then reds, I will go for a southern Semillon from Bordeaux region, like low acidity, to super high acidity, like a dry, as dry as you can find white wine from Germany. They have massive levels of acidity. These wines that I have here, Manzanilla, they have very good high acidity. That's now the type of grape is perfect for the soil where they are planted. So first of all is acidity. Okay, I'm gonna do the other Manzanilla. One Manzanilla difference between these two I have is this one is produced by a team, Equipo Novazos. It's very difficult for you to read the other way around, but it's 82. You see, this is the barrel 82. So this is like a crazy team of winemakers, two winemakers, and they get single barrels from different wineries, and they just produce the amount of bottles, and most of the times it's around 400 bottles that you can get from a single barrel. This is one of these.
82 is the number of the bottle.
The barrel, yes,
Okay.
the barrique.
The barrel. Okay.
So this is they produce of this, I think 400 something. Yeah, this is 2015. But this manzanilla is plain manzanilla, so it's like a type of cherry. But this other one that I have, manzanilla barbiana in rama, you see,
Mhm.
and rama means unfiltered. So the color is a little bit like golden color. It's a little bit cold because these wines you have to drink it a little bit cold.
Mhm.
But these two, the difference basically, this one is the other one, the unfiltered one. They have high acidity. Another thing that you have to take into account when you taste the wine is alcohol levels. How do you feel alcohol? How you know like this wine is the alcohol is very well integrated. We say in the industry that means it's completely mixed with the liquid. You don't have like high levels of alcohol at some point when you are drinking. Well, these two, they have really high content in alcohol. I believe like 15, yes, 15, which normally has the dry wines go from 11, even there are some with 10, but 11 till 13, tops 13.5, I would say. This is 15, so this is high alcohol, but usually when you drink it, the alcohol evaporates. You can feel like a kind of like a cloud in your mouth. So that's the alcohol part. The other two parts are sweet, tannins is very important. Okay, sweet has to do with levels of sugar and added residual sugar. In this case, these two are very dry. I have four of them are very dry, but you can feel the sweet. You always feel it in the top of your tongue. So when you feel sweet, of course, you feel like kind of like other consistency, viscosity. You feel like closer to like a cream than a liquid. You know, this is when you try like port wines that they have really high content in sugar, around 120, 150 grams per liter. You can feel like kind of like a syrup. And some people mix sweet with acidity in some point, you know, because for example, German wines, since they are like really high acidity, you have to add a little bit of sugar for the wines to be nice to drink it. But the other part, which is very important, is tannins and astringency. Tannins is a polyphenol. Sorry, my English is been a while since I explained it to the people, but polyphenol that you can find in certain parts, the grape, the stems of the plants, is something that you can really feel when you're drinking, for example, green tea. Okay, in the red wines, you can find it. In the white wines, very little, so you cannot check that part. But this is the Rioja. I'm not drinking it at the end because it has really high tannins because of the oak. The oak also gives tannins to the liquid. But the flavors here of the tannins called astringency is kind of like the a little bit difficult part at the end of the wine. It's something that you can feel like a little bit of rust of like I don't know how to explain. It's like
Rust
at the
is
back
perfect.
of the tongue, and when you swallow it, you feel it. You
Rust is
know, and
perfect because I've always looked for a way to describe that feeling when you know, it's not all the time, but sometimes you drink wine and it's
time.
piercing, you know,
Yes,
but rust, I've been looking for this description for a
yes.
while.
It's like you feel it after the tonsils.
Yeah.
And it's something that if the wine is in the right moment to drink it, you shouldn't feel that. So that's a point that's like, oh, how this guy knows if 95 from Rioja is a good time to drink it now. Most of the times is because when you drink it something that when it was young has a lot of astringency, a lot of tannins, you will feel like, oh, this is not really pleasant.
Yeah.
But when the times goes, the aging process, when in the bottle, that the wine is a living creature,
Mhm.
you feel less and less. And for example, this Rioja has been open for 3 days because of today, you know,
Yeah.
and now it's much more pleasant than the first day that I was drinking it.
So is it always that if you have this rust feeling from the tannins, does that always mean that the wine has not matured enough, that it should not be, or does it mean that it's too old?
No, that means that could be not the right moment to drink it,
Mm-hmm.
or sometimes the winemaker, that is a part that I was leaving out of this tasting because has to do for like a issue of studying. It's like it's not the style of the winemaker,
Mm.
or it's not the style of the winery. They are not looking for this type of wine. And some wineries, they believe that have stringency, have like a strong punch at the end of the tongue.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a nice thing, and it's something that prevents them to be kind of careful during the whole winemaking process.
Yeah.
So this is a little bit tricky because, for example, um, I have here a very famous wine from Spain called Sicilia. There is our kind of Petrus, and you see it's from 95.
Yeah.
And I'm not willing to open it. I have it here, this bottle. Someone gave it to me, and I think it will be nice in a couple of years' time, if not in a decade, because of the way they produce wine.
Wow. Wow.
And for example, I have a rosé here. That
Mhm.
rosé is it's a very peculiar type of wine because it's in halfway from white and red. But this rosé is produced like a white wine, but at the end of the aging of the wine process, they put it in a oak, and it ages in oak for 12 months. So that rosé,
Uh-huh.
if you drink it blindly,
Mm-hmm.
you wouldn't guess that is a
Does
rosé at all. You think like,
the
oh, it's a kind
color
of
come from the oak?
what?
Does the color come from the oak?
No, the color. That's a very good question because a lot of people think that white wines are made with white grapes and red wines are made with red grapes.
Yes.
And no, you can do white wines with red grapes, and rosé. This rosé is made with red grapes. Also, there are rosés that are made with a combination white and red.
Mm-hmm.
So this is like a tricky thing. For example, here I have a wine that is made with. This is a very new. It's not even on the market. The winery sent it to me last Monday because this is a project that is made with Argentinian, very famous Argentinian winemaker and a very famous Spanish winemaker, and they're creating something that is very very unique. But for example, this wine now, I am almost positive I haven't tasted, but it will be a little bit harsh on the mouth and difficult to drink. So you will always need to leave it some time and enjoy the wine. But after all of this like complexity and different layers, the last part of the tasting is to think, to enjoy the wine, to share the wine with the people that you like, and open bottles that you are like liking for some reason. Sometimes it's like, oh, it reminds me that dinner in that restaurant with that people, or I open this bottle when I celebrate this achievement. and this is the most important thing, I believe. All the tasting steps are really nice to get deeper into the knowledge of wine, but at the end, I think it's much more important to share the liquid, talk with people, try to like get to know, if you can, the winemaker and their idea behind the project, because all of these wines, they have like really nice, interesting stories behind it. But but I don't know. I think it's nice to to simplify the whole project, the whole process of tasting.
Well, great. Thank you so much, Guillermo. That's wonderful. I have a few hours before I could join you, but
Okay. Perfect.
Yes.
Gracias. Cheers.
Cheers. Ciao.
Bye. Ciao.